Yeah, my parents were together until I was about, I think, 11 or 12. They got divorced. I had started acting when I was 8 or so, but by the time that 11 or 12 came along, my mom and I we were living in North Carolina at the time. That's where I started acting. And we went up for like pilot season, or maybe actually we went up for the summer before school was supposed to start, just to try going to New York City, because we'd kind of maybe outgrown what we could do in North Carolina, like as an actor. And so that kind of separated my family for the first time. My sister stayed with my dad in North Carolina. I went with my mom up to New York, and we were going on, at the time, like 5 or 6 auditions a day, and kind of doing the grind in a sense. And I started booking things and never went back to North Carolina. And I
Wow.
remember, like, we tried to get my sister to move up, but she was going to school at the time, didn't really want to come. And I remember my mom and dad always fought, like, growing up. Like, that's kind of my memories of it. And I don't mean it like, I had a great
But that's like,
childhood,
it's funny you
but
say that because a lot of times kids will remember the traumatic things or the things that weren't perfect. And I sometimes I do that too. I sit back and go, there had to be good times. Let's really think about this here.
yeah.
And
No, we
there
had a lot of
were.
good times. I remember I'd go to bed and I would hear them yelling in the living room. You know what I mean? And so I remember when my mom told me that they were getting divorced, that I encouraged it. I don't know, like, a lot of
Yeah.
kids, I think I hear stories where they're like, "Oh, that was really tough when my parents told me they were getting a divorce." And I thought it was the best thing that could happen for her, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So the divorce didn't necessarily affect me like maybe it does a lot of people. But yeah, so we were, I thought, a tight family until we weren't at all. And super separated. Like, my sister was, like I said, in North Carolina with my mom. I mean, with my dad. I was with my mom. We finally convinced my sister to move to New York with us, to New Jersey. That's where I was
That's where
originally
you
from anyway. So,
were
like,
born. Yeah.
my grandparents and everybody were from. And uh and she finally moved up, and it wasn't like a month later that I got Malcolm, and we moved to LA. And she's like, "You're not moving." So she stayed with my grandparents in New Jersey. We moved to LA. And so it's kind of this really weird dynamic to look at now. Like, it actually makes
Yeah.
me a little bit sad, to realize that, like, us following, my mom and I, or me following my dream, and the things that I got to do, like, affected every single member of my family, right?
And you don't think about
Did
that
it?
when you're younger.
No, at all. Like, did it cause a divorce? Potentially. Did, like, my sister, like, I think of the life that she had. We've talked about a lot now that we're older. And, you know, I guess when it's happening, you don't realize the sacrifice that every single person is making for you.
Yeah.
Even my grandparents, 70, 80 years old, whatever, were then raising my sister. You know what I mean? Like,
That's crazy.
and the fact that they were so willing to help out and do whatever they could do to kind of, for us to be available to go where I needed to go to do what I needed to do.
Yeah.
It's a crazy thought, but it's a realization I actually had this year. Uh, it was the first time I thought about the past enough to think about the sacrifice that people made, and it made me really sad. Like, I mean, happy that I have people in my life like that, but, like, it's just a crazy thought that without that support, probably none of that happens. You know what I mean? And it's a wild, wild thought.
Yeah. You were talking about how when your parents were going to get